Hey guys, welcome to this video where we'll be looking into the next 5 Linux interview questions and answers. Like every other video, these informations are also quite short, but it will be useful for you to get basic understanding about the topics that we are discussing. And if you like the video, then click the like button and subscribe to the channel to get more such videos. Also press the bell icon to get the notification for every new video uploaded. So without wasting much time, let's get directly into our today's question and answers. The first question is, if in load average all three fields shown as 444, what does that mean? If you notice that I am putting a lot of questions about the load average, the only reason is because it is a type of daily activity for each and every system admin. So these things come into our daily activities. That is the reason you will be seeing 3 to 4 questions for this, and such type of question will be surely asked into your by your interviewer. So the Linux load average are nothing but system load averages that show the running thread task. We can call it as task demand on the system as an average number of running plus waiting threads. Threads are nothing but the tasks that are allocated to a particular CPU. This measures demand can be greater than what the system is currently processing. Most tools shows three averages that we have already discussed, that is for 1, 5 and 15 minutes. So considering the above scenario of our question, there can be different cases wherein if you have dual core system or a quad core system or an octa core system. Dual core is nothing but if you have two CPU, quad core 4 CPUs and octa core 4 CPU. So as discussed earlier, in this situation where we have a dual core processor, the load average is too high since 15, 5 and 1 minute, because you have only two processors and the value that is shown in your top command, that is 444. And in case you have a quad core processor, then your system is 100% occupied. And if you have an octa core processor, in that case your system is 50% used and 50% idle. So this would be your answer to such type of questions. Coming to the next question, what is patching? Now this is also a very important question, because this also comes like a very important role of Linux administrator. So you can be asked like, what is patching and how often it should be done. So patches are nothing but updates that incorporate changes in the source code. They can be applied to the Linux kernel or to the applications and other system code running on a Linux server. Patch management is nothing but the process of acquiring, testing and installing multiple code changes to system software and applications. Patching is nothing but your system will be updated with security, bug fixes and other types of enhancement. So the most important reason to patch your Linux server is to maintain a secure environment for your server's applications, where applying security patches updates your servers and plugs potential security holes left by outdated software. Suppose your servers have some outdated software or some type of packages which are useless. In that case, patching is will be considered as the best part to remove all such softwares or update the packages which are outdated. The best way to keep your Linux server secure is to keep up with the security alerts. So here are some rules defined, and there are also some steps given, what all things you need to take into measure as a prerequisite when you are doing patching. A good rule is to apply patches 30 days from their release. When the question comes how often it should be done, most of the organization, they do once in a month or maybe twice in a month. It completely depends upon the application and the requirement and the number of servers. So before applying patches to your production system, you should test the patches out on a test environment. Most of the companies follows monthly patching procedure, and there are different ways to patch the system, that is manual patching or maybe automated. Automated can be done in our company. As per my experience, I have used satellite to patch the server. The flavor that I we have used was RHEL version. So there can be multiple ways of patching a system, and here are some steps given that we have to take into consideration. That is, first, create an inventory of all IT assets, categorize by risk and priority, utilize a test lab environment, security personnel, evaluate patch stability, monitor and evaluate lab patch updates. Then you have to create backups on production environments, then implement configuration management, roll out your patches to production, and then ensure patches are maintained properly. And after everything is done, document your patch management process. So these are some steps given here to get a better understanding of the procedures or the prerequisites that can be followed while doing patching. Coming to the next question, what is swap memory? What maximum size can be allocated to it? Swap Swap is nothing but a space on a disk that is used when the amount of physical RAM memory is full. So just to give a very basic idea, when a RAM is full, what it will do, it will take the memory that is allocated into your hard disk, a small amount of memory. So when a Linux system runs out of RAM, inactive pages are moved from RAM to the swap space. Swap space can take the form of either a dedicated swap partition or a swap file. Swap space is nothing but allocating a small part of your hard disk to act as a RAM when your actual RAM is overflowed. This is what we discussed. In most cases, when running Linux on virtual machine, a swap partition is not present. When So what you will do when a swap partition is not present? You can get a question like this as well. So the answer is, so the only option is to create a swap file in that case. And when we come to the question, what is the maximum size of swap can be allocated, then the answer would be, when it comes to the size allocation, if the amount of RAM that is used is 2 GB or 4 GB, so it is basically recommended that the swap should be twice of the RAM. So if it is 2 GB, it could be 4 GB of swap space, and if it is 4 GB, it could be 8 GB of swap space. But you have to remember, you have to keep it in mind that a swap space is only used when your RAM is full. But keeping a huge amount of swap space would be a waste of space, because it will degrade the performance of your application. It is only used when your RAM is full. That is also for a very limited time, because your performance, as per when the RAM is used, the performance is superb, but when your hard disk is used, the performance degrades. So keeping a higher, like keeping it more than 8 GB would be the waste of memory, the waste of space that you have to keep it in mind. So it was always said that the swap should be always double of RAM, but nowadays this is not the case, because as we have today 64 GB and 128 GB RAM as well. So into 2, doing this into 2 would be not required. Still having a small part of your disk like 2 or 4 GB won't hurt, and it would not be a bigger space in your hard disk. So this could be your answer for this question. Coming to the next question, again we have a question where the CPU and the load average comes into the picture. High load averages are usually first felt when you get some weird response from the terminal. So what you will do in such cases? In such case, check out for the number of sleeping and zombie process in your server. This is a very important thing that you need to check whenever you want to reduce the load average of your processor. You first check the zombie and sleeping process. Then possibly when you are asked such type of question, these are the possibilities that you can explain. You can restart your server. It will also help in reducing the load average. And sometimes what happens is there are some database activities which can lead to high load average. Lot of sessions with lot of nested loop joins hammering the CPUs with access request to the same set of hot blocks, or swapping. So swapping would most likely show high sys percentage. Additionally, poorly performing Oracle queries, database queries would also show up using USR cycles and list high in the output of top command. So in most cases, above mentioned points are useful in reducing load average, but considering mind there could be different reasons, we need to verify it thoroughly. Coming to the next question, if you are asked how you have monitored servers using which tool, so this is the type of question where you have to share your experience, what type of monitoring tools you have used in your environment. Here what I have mentioned is what I have experienced and what I have used in my previous organization and what I am using in my current organization. And also I have mentioned some of the mostly used tools and softwares for monitoring these servers. Top command. Top command can be very useful to monitor system performance. But when it comes to huge amount of servers, it becomes very hard to go to each and every server for performance monitoring. So in this case, what is done? Most of the organizations prefers to have one centralized tool which can monitor all the servers. So you will be finding some of the widely used monitoring servers. That is, I have personally used Nagios. It's a very good tool to monitor the performance of the servers. Then you have Dynatrace. This tool also I have used. It is also a very good tool. Then you have Zabbix. Then you have Cacti. Then you have some inbuilt tools or some small tools like Top, that is HTOP and IFTOP. These tool can be used for monitoring interface traffics. Monitorix, you have Monitorix, SolarWind, NetFlow, traffic analyzer, what all traffics are coming onto your network. So these are some widely used monitoring tools for servers, and you have to share your experience that what type of tool you have used in your environment. This brings us to the end of the fifth question and the video. I'll be posting such videos more often, and that's all for now. Thank you all. Bye bye.